Hello, everybody. How are you doing on Thursday? Good to see everybody. And let me turn that down before I get the feedback of myself in the future. And that would just suck. I got to tell you, it's like, hello. Well, how are y'all? Y'all are looking fabulous. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're in a state of consciousness where if you were in my world, you were dancing a minute ago. Nothing like meatloaf. I lived in St. Louis back in the late 70s. Hello, KC Radio. The pig always flies. And so they had down at the University of Fox Theater, every Friday night was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And hello, Big Al, driving across Indiana. How you doing, my friend? And anyway, got to know Meatloaf really well, and it was like a weekly thing. I mean, those of you who may have lived in St. Louis and they're in the 75 to 79, you know what I'm talking about. Good times, good times. Missed the Admiral. Yep. Spent my 21st birthday on the Admiral. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, how are y'all doing? Let me just speak favor over everybody. Hope you got lots of it and just let it kind of just rain all over you. Although here it's snow, and but it's February. What are you going to do in February? It snows. So who's all out there? Hey, Dana, how good to see you. Hey, hello, David Barry. How are you doing, my friend? Weird experience last night. I'll share it with you. Yeah. Eyes of the Maelstrom. How are you doing? Mother Nature, so good to see you. Hello, Raven. How are you doing? There's Mr. Zerloff. Steve, how are you doing? Someone unblock him, please. David, it wasn't a great show yesterday. I really dug that. You know, that's what makes this community the success that it is. I mean, each of us have a piece to add to it. And I just think it's fabulous that you see the younger minds where they are. Man, listen, I wish I had followed my intuition when I was 39. I'll tell you what, I'd saved myself a few scrapes, as we all do, right? Hey, Susie Q, how are you? Good to see you, my dear. There's Ricardo. Good to see you. And Michelle. Grandpa Brian, how are you doing, my friend? Hello, Twisted Isby. Made a couple of new moderators. All of them, you know, Twisted Isby and Belanca. And good people. So anyway, thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Hey, Eric, how you doing? Happy birthday, universe. I love that. Let's see. Joe, let's see. Is Joe Vaca? It is truly the year 2020. Listen, that's just what they tell us. Quite frankly, truth be known, we don't know what time it is. And we have no idea if this is really planet Earth. I don't know where that started. I guess someone came along and said, so what do you call this place? Earth. And it's stuck. I mean, it could have been anything else. Anyway, so Gaia, hello from Denver. Well, hello, Jeannie. Good to see you. Welcome. You know, it's cold. There's Lost in Space. Let's see. Gonna know this. Yeah, well, we're going to be speaking of that, Gilbert. Is that Gulliver's Travel? Is that what it is? Yeah. All right. It's going by rather quickly. We're going to get on an adventure. So, David Barry, I know you're going to really understand this. Hello, Nina the Mystic. Hello, DW Witten. Good to see you as well. ATN. Hello, Basil. Good to see you. Great Scott. Great Scott. There we go. So, you know, did a little traveling last night, and That's a good question, Darth. That's a good question. Tell me that one. I'm telling you, I don't think this is Earth. But anyway, so I get out there and I am above the Earth. I mean, the Earth has a light to it, has a light shine to it. Even in the darkness, it has this light shine. Digressing here a second, how many of you were up before sunrise? That was a fabulous, fabulous scene. I was out walking, didn't have a camera, or I would have taken a picture of it, but it was phenomenal. You got the crescent moon literally about to go into new moon stage, and that's going to be powerful. Put your amulets and your sigils, and if you got a clear moonlight, let them have a chance to get cleansed and recharged in the new moonlight. But anyway, so it was just a fabulous, just the tiniest sliver, but I digress. So I'm contemplating what happens when we are birthed out of this life into the next. It's not death. It's perceived of death at this end, but in all actuality, it is birth. We're being birthed into a new plane of existence. Far out. That's all I got to say. How cool is that? And everyone gets all wrapped around their panties in a wad because of death. Well, we had a funeral and it was just so sad to see him go. Hey, celebrate, dance to the music. But that's what they're going to do when I pass. No, that morning stuff, man. Party, celebration, man. That's what it is. It's not a fun reel. Like, well, how did that come out to be so bad? A fun reel? I bet you Julianne Payne could figure that one out. Julie, got to get you on, dear. Thinking about having you on with David, not David, Nige tomorrow night. Think about that. It would be your Saturday. I think it'd be 10 o'clock a.m. your time. Anyway, get with you on an email. So looking at this, I turned around and space is dark, folks. The ether realm is dark. There's a light to it, but dark is the natural state of things. It's the light that illuminates the dark. That's what makes us so unique. The divine spark. Remember, Lilith taught us that. She said, if you guys could just figure it out, that's why this God is so mad at us, because we have something that they don't. Anyway, so I'm looking out there, and I had this compulsion in my mind to start moving out. Then it occurred to me, and I stopped myself, and I turned back around looking at Earth, and it dawned on me, and I wrote this down. When you astral travel, make sure to stay close to the Earth. If you're new, make sure you stay close to that which is familiar. If you are advanced, understand that you can leave anytime you want. What I saw as the challenge is finding your way back. I wonder how many spirit souls, however you want to say it, have gone out there, and it's compelling to go out there. I still remember the Emerald Tablets, If Thoth lived, he was giving the experience of, what it is to be able to go out there. But I think sometimes if you get too far from the Earth, it can be very difficult to find your way back. I got the Jefferson Starship in my head. Find your way back. So just thought I'd share that. Took me all of 5 minutes to get that out. But it was fun. And needless to say, I got it, and, came back and wrote it down. And speaking of which, we're going to probably next week really start getting into it. We're going to go through the books, with the PDFs. We're going to go ahead and I'll condense it down into, a presentation. But it's time for us to start learning. When David was on with Trina on a second look, and I know him and Karen, Queen of Quartz, have been working really hard on this. It's time to start learning. And this is a perfect platform to begin to learn the basics. And I can't think of a better way to begin to do this as a group. We're going to be studying remote viewing. I intend to get some guests on that are what I would call advanced. And we're going to learn as a group. Let's see what you're saying. Yes, we would need to be in the halls of Amenti at last. I'm convinced, folks. I could not ever find anything with, the golden age of, the John Dees and the likes of that particular path of magic and the esoteric studies. I contend that each generation should begin to take that which was given from the previous, use it to build upon, but by no means make it a theory, make it a religion, make it a belief system. And that's what so happens so often. We get trapped in that, hermetics, complete beliefs, theologies built around that. And I think that's what gets us trapped. So we should be far more advanced than any type of magic or occult hidden knowledge coming out of the Renaissance period, whatever the time. It gets back that no one knows what the time is. We don't know what, as far as we can know, it could be the year 1,200,220. I mean, we just don't know. And tying that up is, I think that we should be far more advanced. So let's do it. Let's get out there. Let's all join together. I met, it's amazing. I met someone out there, and I don't know who it was. It was very interesting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. That's all I know. So what do you think about that? We need a modern system of magic. Sun Rabbit, you be right on. You be right on. I absolutely agree with that. So let's kind of rock and roll. Tonight, thought I'd forget about this, the Steiger Perspective, artistfirst.com, 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain. Going to talk about my perspective on the debate last night. I actually watched it. I'm glad I did. Most entertainment I've had in a long time. I mean, wow. All I got to say is that I now know what the gladiator games must have been like in the Colosseum in Rome. Because last night, woo, I mean, hello. So check it out, and we'll see it. Tomorrow, I believe we've got two guests coming on, one at the noon show, and tomorrow night with our good friend Nige. Want to know what it's like, ground zero? You keep on reading the reports. I don't bring them out here. There's no need to. There's enough channels that are covering it. We got work to do. And getting all freaked out about something that may be real, maybe not. I don't know. It's odd how we distrust the media, but then we want to take, from which adds to the flavor of the day. I don't know, but you know what? We're going to have someone that's right there that can tell us. And that's truth. I mean, you got the observer right there. So it's going to be an interesting time. And I'm, by the way, Right? We think about you often, all the time. We just surround you with protection. Irene, I hope you find your cat, my dear. Still thinking of your cat, and if we can get you another one. But I'm staying positive. That's just how it rolls here. Okay, so got about 4 to 5 minutes. I hope I can get all this in. Got a couple of books to share, as we always try to do here. We got one here. This is the Explorations into Remote Viewing. This is actually a magazine article that really gets into who was the pioneer of remote viewing, who began to really make it a science that the CIA is still heavily invested in. The espionage warfare is not so much now having, agents, secret agents, CIA operatives in the field. There are complete facilities deep under the ground that train, and then you kind of get up to the surface as some of the things I'm reading. People just remote view. There's a whole, I think it's the Farsight Institute. I find their readings quite fascinating. And it is, by everything I've read, all of us can do it. You just have to be trained. It's not like, if you wanted to pole vault, but you were never tall enough. That presents a problem. Well, sure, you can pole vault. You would just have to change the parameters. Anyway, check this out. It's a great article. It's informative. It kind of gives you the whole background, and background is important. Knowledge increases wisdom, and we can begin to see who the people were behind this. I mean, you think about it, back in the 60s, coming out of the 50s, when mind control was being understood, again, nations, Russia particularly, I'm sure China is very much involved. Remote viewers are some of the best spies. And the problem is that it's very difficult to keep someone out who is exceptionally trained. Think about that. Then you could say, well, that's just a voyeur's dream, isn't it? Not at all. We don't go down. Here is a book. Now, I just got this one. It's a long one, too, as you can see, 1,300, well, almost 1,400 pages. It's called The Superpowers of the Human Biomind. I just began to look at this thing, and I just went, holy cow. The sections they cover, database requiring biomind superpowers, remote viewing, the real story, how it started, general database of contributed papers relevant to biomind superpowers. Folks, as I have contended here, if your arm only was usable of 10% of what it was capable of doing, it would be useless to you. There would be nothing. I mean, think about it. It would be an appendage just hanging there. That sucks. That's what they've done to our brain. I don't know about y'all, but when I have the opportunity to really kind of just step outside the physical parameters of the body, I contemplate on that. The one thing I'm aware of is the thought process is not any different than what it is in this physical body. It's just that I have the sensory apparatuses to interface in this dimension in a most fascinating way. My mind is still my mind. Call it consciousness. What is consciousness? Well, for me, consciousness is awareness of thought. If I'm aware of my thoughts, I believe that's what my conscience is defined. Anyway, I think you're going to find this. Just email me, David. We ought to get it up on the Crystal Network, because this is one that is going to take a lot of reading. I have not read it. Just going to tell you right up front. So, but yeah, when you just go through it and you do the scan on it, this is going to be interesting. And if enough of us can get into this and really begin to put the pieces together, I can learn from David as David can learn from me, and then we can learn from, Karen, it never stops. Each of us have our own way of developing. Each of us have our own unique gifts, our abilities. But I do believe all of us are telepathic. I believe all of us have what we would call extrasensory perceptional skills. It's just that they keep us so dumbed down that the vast majority of the population is never going to get into this, but we will. We'll have fun. As you can see, there's a lot of material here, and we're going to get into it. I'll scan through these and basically start putting together in the presentations give me a second here. Yes. The highlights. And those will be our reference notes. So David, email me. I certainly shall, sir. We became entangled. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, of all the people's houses I go to David Barry's. I mean, and the strangest thing is that, that was there. So I'm just reading on some of the comments here. Okay. In our continuing 100 things that they don't want to tell us, that they have lied to us about. They lied. How many of you remember the movie, now I completely forgot the movie. I'll think of it here in a second, but there's a great scene and I'll get back to it. All right. Genetically engineered humans have already been born. Last year, all the hubbub about what the 2 Chinese doctors that apparently are no more, what they did in the lab. And, it was, everybody. And it's amazing how it quieted down, isn't it? No investigation, no inquiry, nothing. It's like, oh, you got it done? Oh, hey, they got it done. So, yeah, there's enough articles out there, if you do just some preliminary research, that, these labs exist. And they're not all in China. So anyway, the earth-shattering news appeared in the Medical Journal of Human Reproduction under the impenetrable headline, Mitochondrial in Human Offspring Derived from Allopulastic Transplantation. The media put the story in heavy rotation for one day, then forgot about it. We all forgot about it. But the fact remains that the world is now populated by dozens of children who are genetically engineered. It still sounds like science fiction, yet it's true. In the first known application of germline gene therapy, in which an individual's genes are changed in a way that can be passed to offspring. That's the very important key to that. It has to be passed on. Doctors at a reproductive facility in New Jersey announced in March 2001 that nearly 30 healthy babies had been born with DNA from 3 people, dad, mom, and a second woman. 15 were the product of fertility clinics, with the other 15 or so coming from elsewhere. We never define what elsewhere is. The doctors believe that one cause for failure of women to conceive is that their ovara contain old mitochondria. If you don't remember your high school biology class, mitochondria are the parts of the cells that provide energy. It's the female aspect too, by the way. These sluggish eggs fail to attach to the uterine wall when fertilized. In order to soup them up, scientists injected them with mitochondria from a younger woman. Since mitochondria contains DNA, the kids have the genetic material of all three parties. The DNA from the older woman can even be passed down along the female line. The big problem is that no one knows what effects this will have on the children or their progeny. In fact, this substitution of mitochondria hasn't been studied extensively on animals, never mind Homo sapiens. The doctors reported that the kids are healthy, but they neglected to mention something crucial. Although the fertility clinic's technique resulted in 15 babies, a total of 17 fetuses had been created. One of them had to be aborted, the other miscarried. Why? Both of them had a rare genetic disorder, Turner syndrome, which only strikes females. Ordinarily, just 1 in 2,500 females is born with this condition, in which one of the X chromosomes is incomplete or totally missing. Yet 2 out of these 17 fetuses had developed it. If we assume that 9 of the fetuses were female, around 50%, then 2 of the 9 female fetuses had this rare condition. Internal documents from the fertility clinic admitted that this amazingly high rate might be due to the optimistic transfer. Even before the revelation about Turner syndrome became known, many experts were appalled that the technique had been used at all. A responding article in Human Reproduction said in a dry understatement, "Neither the safety nor efficacy of this method have been adequately investigated." Ruth Deach, chair of the Britain's Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority, told the BBC, "There is a risk, not just to the baby, but to future generations, which we really can't assess at the moment." Now, I'll just give you a little commentary in this point. This is the problem. This is what happened when Neanderthals mated with the Denisovans, and the Denisovans mated with the Sapiens, and etc. Once the DNA has been injected, in this case from a third party, I mean, you've let loose the genie in the bottle. Don't know what this will do, nor can anyone speculate how long, how far it will take. The number of children who have been born as a result of this technique is unknown. The original article gave the number as nearly 30, but this was in early 2001. At that time, at least 2 of the mutant children were already 1 year old. Today, they would be 19. They have made the transition from childhood into adolescence into adulthood. And even for what you would call genetically stable kids, it's difficult, and we're not. We're hybrids. Anyway, Dr. Joseph Cummins, professor of Emeritus of Biology at the University of Western Ontario, says that no further information about these 30 children has appeared in medical literature or the media. As far as additional children born with 2 mommies and a daddy, Cummins says that a report out of Norway in 2003 indicated that optimistic transfer has been used to correct mitochondrial disease. He opines, it seems likely that the transplants are going on, but very, very, very quietly in a regulatory vacuum, perhaps. I bet. Yeah, okay, we'll do one more. The insurance industry wants to genetically test all policyholders. It's coming. The insurance industry's party line is that it doesn't want to genetically test people who sign up for policies, a practice that would detect a predisposition to develop cancer, multiple sclerosis, and other diseases and disorders. The industry's internal documents tell a completely different story. Don't tell me it's so. While researching War Against the Weak, where have we been studying this? His sweeping history of eugenics and its successor, genetics, in the United States and Germany, Edwin Black found 2 reports written by insurers for insurers, Genetic Information and Medical Expense, published in June 2000 by the American Academy of Actuaries, intones that an inability to ask for genetic test would have a direct impact on premium rates, ultimately rising the cost of insurance for everyone. A paper issued by the same group in the spring of 2002 goes further, envisioning a nightmare scenario in which the entire insurance industry collapses. The genetically impure can't be weeded out, thus meaning that more of them get covered. Because of this, the insurers have to pay out more benefits, which drives up premiums for everybody. This causes some people with perfect chromosomes to be unable to afford insurance, which means a higher percentage of the insured are chromosomically challenged. A downward spiral has started, with more benefits paid out, higher premiums charged, fewer healthy people covered, more benefits, higher premiums, fewer healthy people, etc. This, the report warns, could eventually cause the insurers to become insolvent. In the UK, insurance companies were widely screening applicants for genetic red flags until Parliament slapped the moratorium on the practice in 2001. The horse has already left the barn, Lords, just telling you. Allowing only one type of test to be used. British companies argue that they will go belly up if the ban isn't lifted soon. Based on this alone, it's ridiculous for the U.S. insurance industry to claim that it isn't hoping to use these tests. With the fate of the insurance racket supposedly hanging in the balance, how long can it be before genetic screening is mandatory when applying for health or life coverage? And the thing about it is, folks, if you've taken a genetic test, you're in the database. They got the information already. Imagine that. Yeah. Does that suck or what? Yes, it does. I have to say, I think it totally is. I'm telling you, identity theft. Who would ever thought of such a thing? That they would actually hack your bio information. I read an article of what they're doing in Russia. Holy crap. I mean, you've got people out there that I don't think these people got souls. I think their head's in a different place, or they're from a different place. I don't know how you want to describe it, but they're I'm going to cover this tonight on the Artist First on the Steiger Perspective. There are boutique labs in third world countries, Central America, South America particularly. South America is ripe with this kind of stuff going on. These are genetic biolabs. This is a place where if you've got the money, Right now, I think the going rate for the initial implants to give you a boost in your IQ, getting you above 300. Right now, the highest IQ taken, that was, I think, 10 years ago or so, was 300. The super rich are already getting into this. They're already taking boutique drugs that enhance their mental capacity. Now they're getting into the biofeedback where they can enhance their bodies physically. Yeah. And you can do it too if you got, $3 to $5 million. I understand it's pretty painful, but hey, we're talking superiority here. And apparently, it's just the very rich. I wonder when they'll start getting it down to the scale that, hey, come on in. What was that? Total Recall. Yeah. Let's just go and totally really scramble your whole genetic code. But this is really happening. And you can't help if you study humans, anthropology, and you look at us from the sociology culture point, folks, we're in the midst of a change. Yes, Hadley, absolutely. It's fact. I'm going to get into some other things that's going on. I mean, for instance, did you know that they are saying in the last 20 years, we're talking 2000 here, folks, something's happening to our bodies. The human being, there's a 7% genetic, they call it an alteration. Something has altered our DNA. 7%. Do you know babies born today are not born with the wisdom teeth that I was? Think about this. 60 years, we're seeing this. They estimate within the next 100, 200 years, the little toe will be gone. Because genetically, we're passing on the information to our progeny that we wear shoes. We don't go barefoot. And it's amazing to see how the body remembers this and how it begins to get down into the DNA. Is this far out, folks? We're witnessing it right now. Like, wow. That's all I can say. All right, so I got one other thing to share here. I just came across this and I thought, this is kind of cool. We talk about this, the cycle of life, reincarnation, those that, go through the process. So how many of you have heard what cellular memory is? Well, in a nutshell, the theory of cellular memory suggests that it isn't only the brain that is capable of storing and recalling experiences. Get this, folks. Rather, the body itself can hold memories. These memories can have a powerful subconscious influence on our desires, needs, and responses to things in our world. Experts who study past lives often believe that it is our cellular memory that stores data about our previous selves. That's why we need to take a different approach in order to access the information. Simply sitting and reflecting is unlikely to allow us to tap into that memory. Told you this is fascinating. So, 8 signs of a past life. When you think about past lives, you might imagine a dramatic kind of past life regression in which you suddenly talk with a new accent, and then you find yourself in a different skill. In reality, most past life stories unfold in a more subtle but nevertheless thrilling way. The following 8 signs of past life experience can help you understand your soul's history. These can provide you with a new outlook on who you are and what you want from the world. As we look at each sign, we can consider how each one has an effect on us. Deja vu, we talk about this all the time. The Matrix showed you what happened. If you're experiencing deja vu, it's a glitch in the Matrix. And so, it's strange. I experience it. You do. It's a weird feeling. And you know what I do now? I literally project myself into it. Suddenly feeling you get when you're struck by a sense that you've done something, you heard or felt something before. It can be elicited by everything from a person's face to a smell, a taste, or visiting a new place you don't even remember visiting in this life. Anytime you have this feeling, it's a clue that this type of past life you may have lived here before. The feeling of deja vu can be deeply frustrating because it is often fleeting and too vague to give you concrete information. Further, the phenomenon of deja vu is sometimes just caused by a memory of a movie or is triggered by a similar of your current circumstances to have something forgotten from childhood. To be honest, medical science doesn't know what it is. They just know that we experience it. We'll get there. All right. Unusual memories. How many of you have that? That's one of the most common signs of past life is unusual memories. They can crop up at any time and may be more detailed than those associated with deja vu. Dreaming can do this very quickly as well. For example, you might notice something unusual about the memories that you check them out against memories of others and find that there's no overlap. I think as you get into more lucid dreaming and astral traveling, I think that this opens up those venues. Of course, there's always the potential for this simply to boil down to a faulty memory. True. Or even to daydream that you had it in childhood and then encode it as real. Our minds are just the most amazing thing. But then again, what is reality? If it's nothing more than a projection. Dreams and nightmares, past life regression experiences often occur in your sleep, manifesting in vivid dreams or nightmares that stick with you long after you awake. I've had night visions, 4 that I specifically still recall. I can tell you the exact night I had those dreams, and they weren't dreams, they were night visions. But anyway, this is another way. And apparently, with significant memories, it's important to look for little details that may seem mundane, and you hold the key to understanding the life that you used to live. It's like if you're in a room, stop and look for the details in the room, like I did in David's room. It was very vivid. Fears and phobias, we all know that. My wife has an extreme fear of heights. Others have fears of, something crawling on your skin. Others claustrophobic. There's just a number of these. They say that in many cases, this is how you died in the past. I don't know. In contrast, the type of phobias that could be indicative of past life include irrational or highly specific fears. Think of water in a particular number and a shape and an object and so on. People that have drowned, that have done life regressions, find out that they exhibit those same things here. Passions, children that have these remarkable abilities of painting. I think there's this new prodigy, 6-year-old child that apparently is a ski boarder that has phenomenal dexterity and skills. So we see that as well all the time. And if parents were more in tune to these, then they could also begin to connect that, well, maybe this is because their child in a previous life may have been a master, painter, sculptor, composer, who knows? If that is in fact what happens, who knows? Uncontrollable habits. You don't think about it, but actually habits that children exhibit, that there's no reason for them to do that. I read recently of a person that was in an accident and apparently was unconscious for a while. And when she came out, what would be in a coma, she started smoking, and says that this is what she did in her past life. So I don't know. How long has smoking been around? I have no idea. Have you ever had unexplainable pain, the neck, maybe the shoulder, some other place? This could be as a result of a previous event, your death. I don't know. Figure that one out. It's kind of odd. Birthmarks. I've read stories on here where birthmarks were on a child that were another person that could actually have been verified. I mean, that's an interesting take, birthmarks. How many of you have a birthmark? I don't know if I do. I don't think I do. I was just marked in birth. I wanted to cover this real quickly. Ghost. All right. So spirits, this is really interesting. Spirits are one-on-one experience. You got to admit that. It depends on the individual whether he or she believes in them or not. Nobody really knows whether they exist or not. Some people believe in them and their existence. There are many paranormal societies which research and believe in the existence of ghosts and spirits and have captured them on photos and videos. One particular show, paranormal, caught on camera. Check them out on YouTube. They have, if you're saying that there isn't spirits or ghosts, then what are you saying? There's no afterlife? Now that's scary. All right, spirits cannot be necessarily called ghost. One can experience negative energy around them, which they might confuse with a ghost too. There are many dimensions in which energies live in, and as common people, we do not know about what exists or not. True. Some people do have the tendency to sense spirits and ghosts more than others simply because of their sixth sense or enlightened sensing powers. Interesting. Paranormal societies research about negative energies rather than ghosts and prove their existence by scientific ways. There are ways they try to connect and communicate with the soul's energy. I've got a number of the devices here. All right, so starting from scratch, how does the soul become a ghost? A boot. When a person dies, the soul leaves the body, but because of the worldly desires, remember I talked about wealth? The soul continues to hover around in order to fulfill the wishes and desires and tries to communicate with the humans. Evil spirits, Pret, are supposed to be a yoni in which a soul lives after the soul leaves the body to the phase of the pindan. Now that means cremation. When your body is cremated, they say that there is, this break. But I found that really interesting, and I think that's so true. I mean, so many people are afraid of death. They're afraid that there won't be a memory of them. They think that they'll go into, nothingness. And many people are attached to material things. And I'm going to say this, and I know this is going to sound a little harsh, but one of the biggest traps are relationships. Yep. Just the fact it's the biggest trap. You feel guilty because you're leaving someone behind. There's just a number of things to this. And I know it sounds hard, but you have to separate yourself from that. And if reincarnation exists, that means you've had multiple wives, multiple husbands, multiple children. Something to think about. All right, why can't humans see spirits and ghosts? A human body is made up of 5 elements: earth, fire, water, and air, and ether. When a human is alive, the body is mostly of earth, which enables us to see others easily. A spirit or ghost has the air element more in them and is in a gaseous state, which is tough to see by us humans. That is why we can only feel spirits and not see them. And many times we know that if a spirit is advanced enough, I really do believe this, they can materialize photons. All right, where do they live? Negative attracts negativity. A ghost will always be felt in negative, isolated places, haunted houses, I often say that people are scared to go down in the dark of their basements, what have you. Listen, if you got a ghost or a spirit in your basement, they really were a screw up. I mean, that is your afterlife? Seriously? Challenge them. Ask them, are they human? They got to answer. And if they don't answer, then you know that they're alien. And then it's war on. But that's just me. Ghosts or spirits do not live in the same dimensions as we live in. That is why they try to communicate with us, generally scaring us. But it is the only way of communicating with us humans. Moving objects, whatever. Banging on the walls, that. All spirits are not negative. Some of them are just trying to communicate, while some of them are trying to harm us or use our bodies to come back into the world. Yeah. It kind of gets you into that whole thing that you go, okay, fine. That's why I really don't find spirits or ghosts spooky. I just don't. But for each of us, but for me as well, it affirms that it's not what they told us on the other side. I was thinking about this last night. So many of us take for granted that there's going to be something or someone over there, family member, spouse, whatever, to help us get, our sea legs, so to speak, get acclimated. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, I really don't. Maybe it is. I mean, think about this. If you're born in this plane and no one takes care of you, you're not going to be here very long. I don't know. Is it the same way? I actually wrote this. I know this sounds funny. Excuse me, but bear with me. Are spirits fat or skinny? Are there fat spirits? Are there skinny spirits? Are there tall spirits? Are there small spirits? It's just the question I ask. What say you, the audience? That's what I'm asking. But we're going to be over there. That's why astral traveling, to me, lucid dreaming, should not be scary. Sweetheart, I love you, admire you, but I'm going to tell you something. You're going to pass out of this realm into the next. We call that next realm the ether. Could be spelled with an A, could be spelled, depending on with an E, but it doesn't matter. It is the realm of the spirits. We don't know how big that realm is. We don't know really what that realm is. The religious have their different points of view. Secularists have their points of view. Scientists have their points of view. The fact of the matter is, whether you read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, or whatever, we really don't know. But I tell you, I think it's going to be more fabulous than what we've been told. I think it's going to be crowded. I don't know. We'll find out. That's why if we learn to start meeting in the astral plane, it's a plane. I met someone there last night. I don't know who it is. I intend to, I don't know if they were reaching out for me, but yeah. Very strange, because I was cognitive of what was really taking place. But I digress. If we start meeting there, Karen says that there are many in the Crystal Network that are already meeting there. I think that's fabulous. Going to have to get signed up to that group and see where they're meeting and start engaging. And that's the only way we're going to get better at this, folks. You know, I'm a solo master of a practitioner of my magic. But at some point, you begin to interact with others and you share that energy, and the energy is transmuted. And I believe within energy, there is knowledge. It's just me. So anyway, this has been fun today. I've actually enjoyed this. This is one of those informative shows. We're going to get back into our New World Order, get into the bad guys, these mega dictatorship of what they call monopolies, these companies that control all of the information, our information. And I asked, are they compensating us? No. They say they entertain us, and maybe that's the tithe that we have to do. All right. Thank moderators. Thank you for all you lovely people. You're just beautiful. Thank you for just keeping the love and edifying one another. That's how we break out. Listen, we all have sometimes different views. Sometimes we have bad days, but I love this community. It's a community of compassion, empathy. We have a lot of empaths. We have lots of witches here. I love them. Sorcerers. We've got goddesses that actually come in and visit us. I know that for a fact. And it's because of y'all. You know, they know who you are. They feel your energy. And that's, David, feeling is mutual as well. And that's what, and it's a force to protect us. It really is. All you need is love. Everybody now. All right, folks. Much love to you. Tune in tonight at the Steiger Perspective. You can. If not, see you tomorrow. We'll be having a wonderful guest on talking about healing. And we need that. I think the more that we get the package ready, and once we get out there, we're going to shine, baby. We're going to shine. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we'll be having the shine, you know. That's what they call it. Do you got the shine? Can you hear them? Do they talk to you? Do you talk back? Then you got the shine. All right, folks. Much love to you. See you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.